Well, Robin, there we are.
Yep.
1 year further after our previous talk about Watches and
Watches
Wonders.
and Wonders.
My
Now
goodness.
the 2025 edition.
That was quite an event.
Oh, it's a highlight of the year, but it's also extremely intense.
It is.
Yeah.
And not just during the week. As during the week, well, it might be good to mention that to you guys out there. We did more than 75 stories were prepared in the weeks before Watches and Wonders, while we also had 3 to 4 stories a day on the website, all with our same team. It was a lot of work. And besides those 75 plus stories that we prepared before Watches and Wonders, and during Watches and Wonders, we also did 22 videos. So in terms of production for Team Monochrome, it's massive. It's
It
massive.
was a lot.
It's
Yeah,
huge.
it was a lot.
Actually, everyone arrives at the fair being completely tired, exhausted, etc. And then we have the fair. So in the end, of course, we've seen pretty much all the brands, a few exceptions here or there, both in the Palexpo as well as outside Palexpo, where we also saw many of the smaller brands, the independents, etc., to showcase us their newest creations.
Yep.
So in general, Robin, what was your first impression, or the first impression after the fair? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, the first impressions was bigger, and bigger. More and more brands in the same amount of time, which for us becomes a bit of a challenge now in dividing schedules and being able to see everything. Of course, we know a lot in advance. That's the benefit we have, but still, it's a mega amount of work to cover. But yeah, I wasn't too disappointed.
Okay.
I think
well,
last year was a
last
bit
year we
so-so.
thought it was indeed so-so, and this year actually everyone was like, okay, there's quite a lot new watches to see.
Yeah. Good energy.
Nice energy indeed. Yes. In terms of innovations, anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, well, I'm sure we're going to talk about it in a bit.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It has to be the Dynapulse escapement in the new Land Dweller.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the most talked about watch, movement, escapement, technology, innovation, development, whatever you want to call it, of the fair. But I think there's a few others that are also very interesting to touch upon. Of course, we have a new most complicated wristwatch in the world.
Exactly.
We have a new thinnest tourbillon watch in the world. We have an ultra-fine adjustment Grand Seiko. So in terms of technical innovation, and we're going to go into details a bit more, I was satisfied, more than satisfied.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, for me too, by the way. I loved some of the watches that looked very good. And personally, you know, I have a thing for innovation and technology. So the Land Dweller and its Dynapulse escapement absolutely did it for me. To finally see a watch that will be produced at a large scale, and so not being put together by a watchmaker bent over a bench, you know, and adjusting everything to the finest details. No, but this is industrial production to the max, and then seeing for the first time an escapement that's not a Swiss lever escapement, not a standard escapement that has been in use for, what is it, more than 200 years. So
more or less, yeah.
That to me is really, really big news.
Yeah. Plus, you know that when Rolex launches something, it's been tested to insane levels. It's been tried and tested, and it's durable, it works, it does what it needs to do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have released it.
Exactly.
So it's a reliable mechanism and a reliable choice for people who are looking for something cool and something new and are into this kind of watch.
Definitely. Of course, we're going to see in the course of the coming years how it works on the wrists. But I do trust that Rolex doesn't do this just like that.
Absolutely.
And with their large scale, they can't.
Yeah.
So that was a really superb highlight. Vacheron with the most complicated wristwatch, definitely also a very good one.
Yeah.
But in general, I saw many very nice watches.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was good, not just in Palexpo, but also outside.
Yeah.
And altogether, you know, it was a pleasant fair.
Yeah.
In terms of things that stood out to you, what would you mention?
That's always a very good question, and it's a horological overload, I always say, that week. If you ask me on day 3 what I've seen, I can only remember the last appointment I've just been to, pretty much.
Sounds familiar.
No, but I think there's a few watches out there that I liked to the point that I would love to own them, regardless if I can afford them or not, but I would love to own them because I think they're so nice, they're so special, that I wouldn't mind having that in the collection. One of the first ones that comes to mind is the new Toric Perpetual Calendar by Parmigiani Fleurier. I was a big fan of the Toric last year in the Petite Seconde edition in platinum with that pistachio green dial. I think that was stellar. But this one I like a lot, and especially the gold version, so gold case and gold dial.
And the gold dial, yeah.
I'm not always leaning towards gold, but I find myself more and more attracted to it in some weird way, but that's a topic for another discussion maybe. But
it's age, no worries.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. No, but this one I like a lot because it cleverly keeps the clean and very restrained style that I love of Parmigiani these days, especially in the Toric, as it combines 2 indications in a single subdial in the bottom. So there's one on the left that has 2 indications, and there's one on the right that has 2 indications. So overall it's still very clean, it's very pure, but you do get the Perpetual Calendar display if you want. Plus the finishing is very good. The movement constructed with gold plates and bridges is to die for. So yeah, that one would be a what if watch for me.
Okay.
Another one on the other end of the spectrum that I'm actually considering buying, because it is within my price range, is the new Nomos, the Club Sport Neomatique World Timer. I think if you look at value for money, which is often a hot topic of debate, and people have different perspectives on it, of course, but to me, it's pretty impossible to beat. It's around 4,000 euros, it has an in-house movement, a very practical world timer complication. It's slim, it's very comfortable on the wrist, and I think it looks good. And there's some interesting colors, and colors is another thing we're going to talk about, but there's some interesting colors to be found there. 2 standard editions that will be permanently available, a set of limited editions with different color combinations if you're a bit more outspoken, let's put it that. But overall I think it's a very good package, and it's well done by Nomos, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Asking you the same, what are your immediate highlights, immediate picks?
Oof, I find it very difficult, and I thought about it and I was like, my goodness, what did I see altogether? It's difficult to bring back everything. I would actually have to dig into our own website to find everything that we've seen. One thing that immediately stood out was a platinum Quattro from Chopard.
Oh yes.
That looks so incredibly beautiful.
With the grainy ice blue dial, I believe.
Exactly that one, yeah. And the thing is, you know, I've always liked the elegance of Chopard's dress watches.
The LEC line is amazing.
The salmon color 1860 that they did like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm still dreaming of it. I should try to get one before it's too late. It's so
fully
gorgeous.
Understand.
And even that light blue, it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. The ceramic engineer as well, by the way. I kind of like black watches, I wonder. That looks very good. I love how the polishing, brushing, etc., all the alternating finishes on the case and the bracelet have been done, and it's just a very good looking watch, period. You know.
I agree.
What else? Parmigiani had a very nice one, not just the Perpetual Calendar in the Toric, that I also absolutely adore, but let's not double up.
Sorry, I stole it.
There's a Cermet of the chronograph, Cermet version.
The Tonda Sport.
Uber Cermet.
Ultra Cermet.
Ultra Cermet, thank you. Honestly, that looked very good, and it is also, you know, I've always liked that case, the chronograph, the movement, but now seeing him in that stealthy grey black, looks good.
I wonder why. It's very monochromatic, of course, so has to tickle your senses a bit.
It does. Then again, Patek also had the 96 back in the collection.
The
Was it now?
classical time-only Calatrava, the 6196P.
Exactly, the 6196.
Yeah.
Is it 6196?
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm always confused with all the numbers.
Yeah.
But salmon dial, you know, I'm a sucker for salmon dials. I love that 96. The dial layout is very good. Still, gray markers and hands. I would have preferred silver color in the same case, color of the case. It makes it a little bit too contrast rich for my taste, but still, it looks good. And there's so many more that I'm now forgetting that I would love to list, but I can't go on and go on.
No. Yeah, I get that. There's so many things to see and so many things to love, and watches that made an impression for various reasons, and yeah. It's a lot to digest, even for us on the inside, but let alone for collectors and enthusiasts.
It is nearly impossible to follow it all, but you know, also the Lange und Söhne perpetual calendar minute repeater to me was stunning and lovely to see it with a black dial.
That's very good.
Something else than the usual red gold or yellow gold, and with more classically dials. I love white metal and a black dial. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
So it looked just very good.
Okay.
Trends.
Yeah. We always try to pick, okay, what's hot, what's hype, what's new, what's fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I think this year we saw a continuation and maybe a bit of a resurgence of a trend that's been going on for the last couple of years. And I believe that is ice blue dials. There were a ton of them with various brands. And I must say that each and every one of them has its own personality, a slightly different shade here and there, but usually with some very interesting texture, and overall they're used in a way that I think elevate a watch into being more than just another ice blue dial.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Grand Seiko with the UFA, I can't recall the reference number exactly, but it has a frozen pine forest inspired texture on the dial, which I know Grand Seiko always uses nature as inspiration in the surrounding areas of the watchmaking studios in Japan. And they've done it over and over again, but somehow, to me, they always find a way to refreshen the concept a bit and give something new that looks amazing. And especially in that ice blue tone, I think that one looks really good. Plus, I love that watch a bit more because of the technology inside as well. Mm-hmm. It has an ultra-fine adjusted spring drive movement, accurate to, 20 seconds of deviation per year, which is very close to quartz already, which is 5 seconds per year for them. So yeah, it's the best of both worlds. We always say that, but I love that one. Another ice blue watch that I really like is, of course, the
Chopard.
Yes, thank you, the Chopard you mentioned.
Then there's, of course, Parmigiani also with a nice blue dial.
Parmigiani, yeah.
There were quite a few indeed.
Yeah.
But in general, you know, you mentioned the ice blue colors.
Yeah.
I also saw a few of the sage green kind of colors. Of course, there's
that's still
the IWC Engineer. There was another one. The Parmigiani also had something with the green shade over.
Yeah, Versaska green in the GMT Rattrapante. They had the sage green on the Tonda PF open worked or skeleton.
Yeah. In general, there were quite a few not so usual colors to be seen on dials.
Yeah. Yeah.
Arm and Strom with that funky purple.
Yeah, the black and purple orbit, yes. Yeah.
Intense.
That's okay. I kind of like it, but it's a punchy watch. Let's say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Moser.
Oh yeah, the pop collection. Yeah, we can't ignore that if we talk about color.
There were so many colors that you usually don't see. You know, that step away from the dark blue, the gray, the black, the white, that are usually the main colors that you will see in any watch. Yeah. And now all of a sudden we see all kind of pastel colors, funky stuff, pretty extreme colors even.
Nomos as well with the new world timer had a range of colorful combinations. Yeah,
a little bit less than last year when they
31
had the entire
colors of the Tangente. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the colors was definitely a thing. Yeah. Another trend, by the way.
Yeah.
Bracelets.
Oh yes, very big one.
Wow.
Yeah, and I love the fact that brands are exploring different techniques to finish them, but also to construct them, because it's not just slapping on a bracelet and calling it a day.
Exactly.
There's this year showcased genuine innovation in bracelets and clasps, which is to me very surprising.
I loved the Rolex 1908.
The Settimo.
The Settimo bracelet. Yeah.
I've had it on the wrist. I love it. It's not my watch to own or wear.
Me neither,
but overall the look is amazing.
It looks good.
It's a unique connection to the case for Rolex at least. So it's exclusive to the 1908.
Yeah.
The fine links make it very articulating. It flows around the wrist. It's very good.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
very good. But it's not the only one that we've seen.
The Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso
The Milanese.
on the Milanese
In
bracelet.
gold.
I mean, the Milanese bracelet is not new, but to seeing it in the same color as the case, in the same color as the dial, having a grenet finishing on the dial, all that works so incredibly well together. Chapeau, loved seeing that one.
Yep.
It's good to see some Reverso goodness back as well.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah. One of the other highlights for me is not per se a bracelet, but is the folding clasp of the new Pelagos, the Ultra.
Okay.
Because not only does it incorporate a diving extension, which is quite typical on a dive watch, it also incorporates a micro adjustability system, which is fine, so you can adjust it on the fly. But on top of that, there's also a spring-loaded system that allows for even more flexibility as you go through your day, or if you're diving with it, wearing it over a wetsuit. At least it gives you 3 types of adjustability in a single clasp, which I thought was very clever.
It is.
Plus there's a loom pip indication also on the clasp for the setting of the adjustment. Okay, that may be a bit gimmicky to make it a loom pip, but still it's
funny.
it's practical, it's fun,
There was also something from Furlan Mari. I know that breeze was wild on that one.
the braided steel bracelet.
Exactly.
It looks very good.
It looks good, especially the one with the diamond markers.
Yeah, lab-grown diamond markers on a black onyx dial.
Kinky.
It's very good. Another one that I think is very much worth mentioning is Tag Heuer with the new Carrera bracelet.
Indeed.
They not per se in the terms of design or the practicality of the clasp, but more the practicality of the links, because there's now an easy system incorporated into the links, so you can quickly adjust the length of the bracelet without, breaking out the old screwdriver and putting some scratches in your bracelet and then finding that, okay, I took out the wrong link, so having to do it all again. So it's very easy, it's convenient, I think it's clever. It's another point of detail that is often overlooked, but now finally shows some real attention and innovation.
It's a very good system indeed,
Yeah.
and glad to see that more and more.
Yeah.
There's still a few brands who can follow suit in that respect.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I think usually what you see is that, okay, 1 year shows a couple of brands doing some big steps, and then others will follow in that same path in the coming years. So I expect some more to join in on that.
Hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a few out there that I think could use some easy adjust or quick change for a bracelet that would definitely improve the entire ergonomity of the watch. To
Absolutely.
and I mean, it's a thing that's on your wrist. You wear it all the day.
It has to be comfortable, otherwise it's going to stay in the drawer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. Another trend I think is worth mentioning is size.
It was slightly remarkable to see a few weird things happening there. Which one stood out to you?
Well, 2 actually, but I'm going to leave one to you, which I think you'll have a guess to which one. But one move that I found interesting was Tudor, coming with the 43mm Black Bay 68, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So now we have pretty much from 43 down to, what is it, 36 or 35 with them? 36, I believe, is the smallest.
I think so. Yeah.
Which actually goes against the trend of downsizing watches, but I've seen other brands do that as well, not necessarily now at Watches Wonders, but Longines, for instance, came with a bigger Conquest last year.
Yeah, true.
So that's surprising, but Tudor also surprised me in that sense. Even though the majority of watches get a little bit refined and a little bit smaller,
But not significantly. I mean,
No.
it's still significant sizes in general.
Yeah.
There were a few that downsized to my surprise, actually. One was the Parmigiani Tonda PF chronograph, that without date right now and going from 42 to 40. Pretty nice in terms of sizing.
Absolutely.
For such a beautiful sporty watch. I really
Makes it
like
a bit more versatile for people, yeah.
Exactly.
Because 42, regardless of shape and everything, is still quite a big watch.
It is, yeah, one way or another. Another one that really stood out to me was Lange & Söhne.
Oh yes.
With the 1815. To me, the 1815 is actually probably their most beautiful collection in terms of design language. I love the sort of pretty long lugs. I love the elegance in the entire design.
Yeah, the proportions are very good.
But now at 34 millimeter.
Yeah.
I tried it on the wrist. For me, you know, I own a 36 hand-wound and a 37 automatic. That to me is as small as it gets. I don't need smaller. I don't have the smallest wrist either. So, but I can imagine that for many men as well as women, this size will be very pleasant to wear.
Yeah, and what I think was good about it, and I was right that you were going to mention this one. One thing is that I really loved about it, even though it's way too small for me. You know, I have a Monaco, which demands a bit of wrist. But was the fact that it's slimmer as well. It's not just smaller, but it's overall the proportions have been retained by reducing everything. You know, diameter, but also height.
The power reserve.
Yeah, and as Willem, CEO of the brand, put it, it's an entirely newly developed movement just to fit inside this smaller 1815. And I mean, overall it looks good. It's not for me because it's too small, at least in my perspective, for me. But overall it looks very good.
It does?
Yeah.
Yeah. Other trends. You mentioned something.
Yeah, stone dials.
Yeah.
We saw quite a few of those as well. Piaget continues with their Andy Warhol inspired collection. A few stone dials there. Moser with the Pop collection, of course, mixing different types of stone and color inside various watches. They had a whole series of them.
Zenith with the JFJ.
Zenith with the GFJ, very good looking watch, by the way. Love that. Yeah. And a surprising one at Rolex, actually, in the GMT Master 2, the Tiger iron dial.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kinky.
it was okay, maybe a bit of an acquired taste, but
It's what?
Rolex is known for stone dials and doing some surprising things every now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, it certainly was a watch I heard a lot of people talk about, just because of the dial.
Exactly. Another watch that I'd love to mention is one that I personally like a lot. There was a Calatrava from Patek. Was it 8 days?
The 8 days, yes. The grain blue dial.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
And that's also one of the things, you know, Patek going more sporty.
Yeah. A bit more modern also.
I needed to have some time to get used to it. But when this 8 days came, I like it.
It's
I
good.
really do.
It's
and
good.
If you look also, you know, price point for what you get, it's getting closer to what I would like, actually.
Yeah, it's still a Patek, so it's going to be expensive, but
yes, but might become expensive for this one.
Every year it becomes more expensive, sadly.
Yep. Stone dials, definitely. Arts and crafts was also one of the things.
Yeah.
And, with Xavier, I went to an arts and craft exhibition in the Patek boutique during the week. It's remarkable what these guys are doing in terms of creativity, but also in terms of craftsmanship.
Yeah.
I took a little test to start making some cloisonné enamel.
With the gold wire to bend. Yeah.
Two left hands here. Honestly, it's so complex. And if you see how they do it and what they do, and also with the marquetry and many other of the other arts and crafts, it's spectacular. I really admire all of that. Yeah. Maybe it needs you know, a specific taste for someone to wear it, but you can also have, you know, in beautiful clocks and stuff. All throughout the fair, I've seen more and more arts and craft, and of course specifically with Patek. But it's really good. One last mention.
Yeah.
Tom Suspendu.
Oh yes, by Hermès.
Yes.
It's renewed in the Arceau collection, and it's also introduced now in the Cut collection.
That one. Yes.
which is also bigger because the complication needs a bit more space.
And again, both Xavier and Brice were jumping for joy when they saw that.
Me
Looked very
too.
good.
I was a fan of the cut when it was released last year, and I
Slightly
think
too small actually, but now
it
it's
was
increased in
36 and
size.
now it's 39, so it's a bit more. How do you say it? Well, it's a bit more for everyone. 36 for some is just too small. No, but I like it. I like the overall design. I think the attention to detail is typical to Hermès. You know, the design of the font, for instance, the different textures on the dial, and now the Le Temps Suspendu, which is a very original complication, very poetic complication. It was nice to see that being used in the cut. Yeah, it's very good.
In terms of the entire experience, what was, we spent 3-4 days at Palexpo. We spent a few days visiting
Outside.
independents outside, AHCI. How do you feel about the fact that AHCI is somewhere in one of the hotels in the basement? Then we have in the Beau Rivage Hotel a bunch of watch brands. In the Angleterre, there's a few independents who reside in their own ateliers in Geneva. And there's, of course, the Palexpo. So there's some feedback on that. How do you feel about it?
It's a challenge. First, to cover everything. I do understand that when the whole watchmaking world is centered in Geneva for Watches and Wonders, that other brands try to, grab a bit of that attention as well with, the Time to Watches event, which was now conveniently located just outside of Palexpo.
Yes.
That was very clever, smart move. But I do get the whole, Geneva turns into the watchmaking capital of the world for a week and a half. It usually already is the capital, but now it's very buzzing and everyone is there and you get to see people, you get to talk to people. But it's becoming so much that it's a challenge to cover and see everything, because we don't necessarily have more days, but every year we have more and more brands to cover.
That's true, definitely. And next year there's going to be even more brands.
Yeah, there are some very interesting rumors going around. Yeah.
But on the other hand, I also have that feeling I do miss Baselworld.
Yeah, in that sense, maybe yes. Yeah.
And the nice thing about Baselworld is that actually every brand could be there and was sort of welcome, whether they were inside Hall 1, Hall 2, Hall 3, wherever, Hall 1.1, or outside in a tent that the Swiss conveniently named the Palace. Well, marketing next level. But anyways, that's
it was the place to be, though, for us at least.
It was the place to be. It was the place where I learned about this brand. It was the place that put smile on our faces.
I do think that several brands outside of Watches and Wonders deserve to be inside. If you look at the Carré des Horlogers,
exactly, my point.
The section of Watches and Wonders where high-end independents such as Armin Strohm, Moser, and stuff like that is
but I'd
displayed.
also love to see, the cool kids. I'd love to see the brands who do not have the budget to pay 150,000 for a small booth in the Palexpo. I would love for them to open another hall and maybe do less services over there, not let them participate in all the joint cost, but at least welcome everyone over there. It would make just our life better, but it would be much more a celebration of watchmaking altogether, and not that you have to travel to the different hotels and have it all together. It would be a sheer pleasure, and I would even be prepared to pay 10 Swiss francs for a fucking hot dog.
Yeah.
Sorry, Waiko, if you're looking. No response, please.
One complaint I do have about the organization this year was embargoes. Because what I don't understand, and this might be a bit insider information for people not working in the industry, but we were faced with several brands that have an embargo at midnight. So from Monday to Tuesday, the midnight before the opening day of the
31st of March to the 1st of April.
Yeah, so the night before the official start of Watches and Wonders. And that included a few brands that do not send out press releases in advance, which I fully understand and accept. But everyone in the watch industry is in Europe on a European timetable. We all know that the week is going to be crazy.
Yes. The
Then
weeks before
why-
were already crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Then why, for heaven's sake, put on even a bigger burden on teams like ours and Hodinki's and Fratello's and everyone
Mhm.
by doing that? Because
Yeah.
at midnight we were all around the table, okay, splitting up. Brice, you do that. Robin, I do this. Frank, you do that. And we wrote like crazy to get
Yeah.
the first stories of
Then
Rolex
it's,
Patek. and,
everyone was writing during
Exactly.
the night, and that was the night before. We had our first day at
Yeah.
the fair, and the first day at the fair
Yeah.
is production,
Absolutely.
videos
Absolutely.
to be shot, etc.
Yeah.
And trying to analyze that Dynapulse escapement
Oh, yeah, yeah.
with all the rumors going on before, that was quite a challenge.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could distill from everything is, okay, it's not a natural escapement.
that was pretty much
the
obvious.
main rumor,
Yeah.
but to see what was changed exactly
Yeah.
was quite difficult.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had some help of a watchmaker afterwards to come up with all the nitty gritty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I must say that I do understand that these brands, the three in particular, it's Rolex, Tudor, and Patek, that never send out any information in advance, and I understand that fully.
Yes.
I also understand that some brands are looking to find their own spotlight in terms of, okay, I want an earlier or a dedicated window of time where I am the only one that communicates, which in this case they did at midnight. I fully understand that, but the choice for midnight is the issue for me. Because from midnight to 2 we were behind the laptop, then at 6 the alarm goes off, at 7:30 you go to the Palexpo, and at 8 you have your first meetings, and you're not back at home before midnight again. And I know I'm complaining, we also have some privilege be working in the industry and we all enjoy it, it's the reason we are a part of it, of course. But it's a week long of 12-hour days already, if not more longer I should say.
It's longer, yeah.
And then this, yeah.
Yeah, and the weeks before were already
Yeah,
insanely
Yeah.
exhausting.
yeah. There's a
but
reason
yeah,
we always take a full week basically to recover and
for which we usually
gather
don't have
ourselves
time
back
because
up
work
again,
continues
yeah.
anyway. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think as of next week I will have a few more slow days.
yeah, exactly. Okay,
So
rant
far-
over.
Yeah,
I've made my
okay.
point.
No
but
complaints anymore. Okay, we love what we
No,
do.
yeah,
We
yeah.
really do.
Yeah,
Yeah, but having more brands inside Palexpo to me would be an absolute bliss.
Absolutely.
And having
Yeah.
the entire AHCI there, small brands like Nevada, like Studio Underdog, like
Yeah.
Baltic, have them there, please.
Yeah.
It would be so much fun.
yeah. I would also love to see the more high-end stuff. Autrive with the Honores,
Yeah.
the 1,000-hour Power Reserve watch, Crayon with the Any Day.
That.
Now we have Breva back again. Gubli, for instance, is doing very interesting stuff. Yeah,
They
you're
gave us
wearing it
new
exactly.
t-shirts, yeah, nice.
So there are a few brands, that are part of Time to Watches, and they have their own space there, and it was nice, and it was friendly and open and relaxed. But I do think in terms of watchmaking technology and creativity, they are up there with brands that are more established, maybe in terms of how long they've been around. But in terms of creativity and everything, I do think they have a place in Carré des Horlogiers
Absolutely.
inside the Palexpo.
Yeah, so it might be an interesting challenge for Watches and Wonders to
Find a way
adapt
to,
their pricing, maybe to find a way to
Yeah.
somehow accommodate them. And I think
Yeah.
it would be a very good signal for the entire watch world.
Yeah.
One thing that also stood out to me, and it's something that you and I both like a lot. There were so many Formula One cars inside.
Yeah, there were quite a few. Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden you bumped me like, look up. And all of a
Yeah,
sudden there was the one from Tudor.
Yeah, the Visa Cash App RB.
Exactly, and then there was at IWC, of course, who were very much
Apex
into the
GP
Apex
cars, yeah.
movie. So much looking forward to see that.
Yep.
I'm very curious. Tag Heuer, of course.
Oh, they stole
mean-
the show for me.
I mean, especially with the old one,
Yeah.
that was gorgeous.
Yeah.
To see the comparison.
The cool thing is, most of these cars you see at shows are dummies. There's no engine and gearbox and everything inside. But I understood from Antoine when we talked to him for the recording of the interview that.
To be clear, Antoine is the CEO of Tag
Yeah,
Heuer.
sorry, I should have mentioned that. But that was Max's actual car, so a full racing car. But Senna's McLaren, the MP44, sorry for being a nerd.
That's why
That
you
was
do the petrol head core.
Yeah, exactly. But that was his original car. It's not a mock-up or a dummy. It was his original car. And to see those two side by side, you know, the current four-time world champion against the legend that is Ayrton Senna, and especially the legend that is the McLaren MP44, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah.
That's cool stuff. That's for
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah.
But I think in particular booths were very nice. I thought the open and airy layout of the Hublot booth was very cool.
True.
Yeah. At Ulysse Nardin you could punch a punching bag with their new lightest dive watch ever to see if you
Also
could break
nice
it
watch,
or not.
by the way.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool one, yeah. I mean, you know, Langenzeune always have the biggest watch in the fair on display, which works. It shows this year it was the Perpetual Canada Minute Repeater, which chimed and everything, and it showed every indication. And
Odysseus in Honeygold also looked very good.
oh yes, yeah, that's
super
very
nice.
Cool. Yeah.
But let's slowly round off this recap of Watches and Wonders. Last question, what's on your wrist?
Right now, my trusty for about 3 years now, Tag Heuer Monaco CAW211P, otherwise known as the Steve McQueen edition of the Monaco.
Even
Crown on the left,
Exactly.
horizontal markers.
The caliber 11 version.
Yep, exactly.
That's cool.
It was my dream watch for a lot of years, but I own it for now, I think 3 years now, and gets a lot of wrist time. And
Cool.
for you?
Brand new and very old.
Oh, to
at
you,
the
brand
same
new.
time.
Yeah.
I picked it up from Urwerk. It's a 103. It's one that I have been dreaming of for more than 20 years. Because when I arrived at Baselworld for the first time, and after a few first meetings, I went to see Urwerk. They were just launching the Shiny T and the Tarantula at that time, which already were 103s with the full crystal, so not the so-called Targa. But I prefer the so-called Targa in black. Finally have a limited edition of 5 pieces. There was one new old stock that they completely refurbished. Finally.
Yeah.
So me super happy.
Yeah, I know that when we had our Beers and Burgers event on Friday, you were buzzing with excitement because you just picked it up. It was on your wrist, and it was the first minutes of you enjoying it.
That was also,
good
by
to
the way,
see.
the Beers and Burgers party was also one of the highlights.
Yeah, that's always a good one. Well, always. It's the second time we did it.
Together with Andrew from Time and Tide, and it was absolutely bonkers. It was a mess again. We're going to do it again next year.
A good mess, yeah.
So thanks.
Yeah.
And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed our recap of Watches and Wonders 2025.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.